Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome on into Asian baseball today. It's a playoff edition. That's right. The playoffs are here. We want to thank you right at the top for riding with us and watching the show all season long. If you're new to the show, we're happy to have you here, and you're coming just in time because we have quite the deal for you to ride with our two experts in Asian baseball for the entirety of the KBO playoffs. I'll let you know how to do that in just a little bit. I'm Dan Alexander. Let's bring in those aforementioned experts. With me, I got Tokyo Brandon. I got Adam Trigger. Trig, the hair is looking stellar today, my guy. How are we doing? How's the weekend, and what do you have up here on $9 Monday?
I was actually trying to fix it before I got on. I thought it was messed up.
It looks
I didn't have
great.
a mirror here. So, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Your hair always looks great. I mean, you got the flow going there. But anyway,
Amen.
$9 Monday, pretty quiet day. There's one NFL game. I don't have a play in it. So I guess we're just going to, we can talk about the, KBO playoff package that we've got up. And any of my thoughts I have on the final regular season game in the KBO that goes tomorrow, we're going to give out on the show. So yeah, rare quiet day. Not much to promote, but great weekend in football again. Both 5%ers hit, and it's been a really good season so far. I also hit my only Major League Baseball playoff play, 4% win on your Philadelphia Phillies, Dan. So things are going good, and hopefully we keep it rolling and right into this week.
Yeah, well, luckily for them, the bullpen facing the Phils ended up looking like a KBO bullpen there towards the end in the game one. So that ended up working out for me. Red October continues to roll on. Brandon, good to see you, man. How was your weekend? You have anything up for $9 Monday? And I know you're excited with the playoffs looming for Asian baseball, where you specialize in.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of bad bullpens, at least you're not the Toronto Blue Jays. So,
that's fair.
Blowing an 8-1 lead, that's pretty harsh. Chinese basketball started yesterday, and Japanese basketball started last weekend. I went 5-2 in Japanese basketball. Yesterday, I went 2-1 in Chinese basketball, and I went 3-1 in Asian baseball yesterday. So it's been rolling, been going pretty good. I am the number one all-profit capper the last 7 days and last 30 days. So, yeah, it's rolling pretty good. I do have a 5% play today, and I'm also offering my entire weekend of plays this weekend for $9 until midnight tonight. So go to Tokyo Brandon's WagerTalk.com page and see those deals. It's going well, and I'm ready to talk about some KBO playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, guys, that we're ready to talk some playoffs already. Who would have thought way back when at the beginning of the season, while I was still muting my microphone and mispronouncing names, that we would be talking playoffs and I would make it through the whole season hosting with you guys. So it's worked out well, but let's let people know the stage is set. We'll take a look at what the board says here. That's your top 5 teams. SSG Landers, they held on. They tried as much as they could to give it away at the end of the year. 4 straight losses. They end up as your 1 seed, so they have gotten the automatic bid into the championship series, which will be a best of 7. We got LG, KT, Kiwoom, and Kia as your other playoff teams. However, that playoff Seeding still remains to be seen, as we have one game that we're going to be breaking down for you. It goes tomorrow morning, and it's kind of a win and move up game or win and move down game for KT, because the last game that we have is LG and KT, and if KT wins, they're going to be your 3 seed, which is important, and we'll break down why. If they lose, Kiwoom is going to be your 3rd seed via tiebreakers. So we'll kind of talk about, when the playoff series are, how it all shakes out. But I just want to start with you, Trig, and just kind of get your thoughts. The table is set now, and yes, there may be some jockeying of position for 2 teams, but surprised at all is what we're seeing with that top 5, and what are you kind of eyeing as we're heading on into the playoffs here?
Dan, I'm not surprised at all. 3 months ago, I said I'd be shocked if the top 5 changed at all, and it didn't. Kia made it interesting for us. They had a 10-game losing streak at one point, 9 or 10-game losing streak at one point that let everyone back in. But Kia finished strong. And, yeah, that's the same top 5 as it was at the All-Star break when we previewed the second half. And I said, this is going to be your playoffs. And sure enough, this is the playoffs. No surprise, SSG basically wire-to-wire winner this year. Which is not really that uncommon. In KBO, we've kind of seen that happen in the KBO over the past couple of years. 2020, the NC Dinos wire-to-wire for the most part during the regular season. KT Wiz kind of took over at some point, and they ended up, holding Samsung off in a 1-game playoff to win last year. But let's reiterate, the team that wins the league this year being the SSG Landers, they go right to the final. So they're in the final. They are in the Korean series, and they will await the winner of this ladder format playoff, which we're going to talk about here in this section. They'll await the winner. And if you look at years past, it's been a really big advantage. I think, if you go back a decade in the KBO, the majority of Korean series have been won by the regular season champions. It's a huge advantage. So we'll see if that's an advantage this year. But even in recent memory, last year, KT Wiz won the league, won the Korean series. 2020, NC Dinos won the league, won the Korean series. So we'll see if that holds true. But without question, it definitely is an advantage that SSG will have going into the playoffs.
Yeah, they get to roll right on in to that Korean series. Now, Brandon, I'm going to throw it your way and get your ideas on just maybe how these playoffs are going to shake out. But just so we're all on the same page, I'll break down my understanding of how this playoff format breaks down. Because if I can understand it, I'm guessing the viewers will be able to understand it. So this wild card series is going to be between number 4 and number 5. And that's just going to be basically the higher seed hosts it. If the higher seed wins the first game, boom, they move on. If they don't, they're going to play again, and that lower seed has to win both of those games. The lower seed would have to sweep those 2 games. The higher seed can even tie in this, and then they could potentially be moving on. So that's for this wild card. Next round, which starts on October 15th, that's a best-of-5 round, and that's going to be the 3 seed, and we're going to talk about why that 3 seed is important. So that's incorrect?
Yeah, I believe so. Here's how it's going to be best of 3, followed by best of 5, followed by best of 7. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you go 3, 5, 7. However, the seeding does matter because this number 3 seed is going to be hosting whoever the winner of is the 4-5 matchup, so on and so forth. Whoever wins that then is going to be playing against this number 2 seed, and then the cherry on the top, you have a 7-game series. That's the Korean series. That's going to be the SSG Landers, signed, sealed, delivered in that. So at least I had that part right. It was just the game distance. A lot of jockeying. I will say it's incredible to me that SSG just, you win the regular season, you get to kick your feet up. Rest versus rust. Something we may have to track with these guys. Brandon, what are you thinking as these playoffs are going in and just kind of this playoff format before we start getting into some specifics?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Hey, Dan, at least you're not muted. You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm already a leg up.
So it's pretty simple. 4 plays 5, the winner plays 3, and the winner of that plays 2. It's pretty simple. And 1 gets to watch everyone fight it out. And so what's actually important, they highly weight the seeds. So, even 4 versus 5, 4 goes in with a 1-game advantage. They're already up 1-0. So 5 has to win 2-0 to even get past the series. So they weight the ranks very high, which is why KT wants to win today, because they want to get third place instead of fourth. We can get into the specifics later, but basically KT and Kiwoom are fighting for third place right now. And Kiwoom doesn't have any games left. KT does. They control their fate. You want to get to 3 because you don't want to play the first wildcard round. You want to get at least 1 week rest. While SSG is number 1, they're getting 2 or 3 weeks rest. And LG is already solidified at number 2, so they're guaranteed a week and a half of rest. So the seeds are very important. Not just the home field advantage and whatnot, but it's the rest time to let your bullpens rest. These teams playing games right now, like LG and KT, I'll get into it later, but LG's already solidified their spot. They don't need to get anyone tired. They just want to keep people fresh. So that's where they're at, whereas KT's fighting tooth and nail to get third place. So yeah, 4 versus 5, the winner plays 3, the winner of that plays 2, and then you have the championship.
Now, guys, I'm also wondering, too, heading into this, has this playoff format been reshuffled at all? Because I'm just kind of curious, and maybe you guys have the historical data in front of you. When a team is like this 1 seed, is it almost like signed, sealed, delivered, hey, we really like their chances, and probably the odds reflect that? Or do you think there might be some of these teams who could potentially have the longer road that could maybe shake some things up? Like just kind of thoughts on that. Trig, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, Dan, historically, if you go back into the history of 40 years of KBO, and they talked about this when ESPN covered the KBO in 2020, there is not many instances of a 4 or 5 seed doing much in the playoffs. Now, last year, we actually had a rare instance where Doosan made a run from the 4 spot and got to the final. And then I believe they got to the final and just got smoked. If I remember correctly, KT just steamrolled them in the final. So typically that's why this game tomorrow, which we'll talk about later in the show, is so important, because historically it's the top 3 seeds that tend to have the most success when it comes to actually winning the thing. And as you can imagine, since the top seed is always guaranteed to be there, the top seed has, if you look at all the KBO winners, it's more often than not, it's the top seed. And then you'll have, 2 or 3 will get it done every once in a while. But it is a huge advantage. That's why the regular season is so important. That's why getting the 4 against the 3 is so important. It's the historical data shows that the higher seeds end up winning more often than not in this format. So it really is it's a huge game for KT tomorrow. Let's just put it that way. There's a big difference between being the 3 or the 4.
And you think same kind of thing, Brandon, heading into this, and you look at the teams with those top 3, and we could potentially have a different, team in that 3 spot with this game that we're going to talk about in just a minute here. But when you look at SSG, LG, KT, Kiwoom, Kia, just as far as, the travel that maybe racks up if you're a team that has to make a run after a run, do you think any of those guys towards the bottom could threaten or make a shot at this? Or we're kind of looking at, hey, who's these top 3 seeds and how do we handicap them the rest of the way? How are you kind of going to attack it?
So, like Adam said, generally the top seeded team, they have such a huge advantage, and they do have a good shot, a great percentage chance of winning it all. However, this year I do see a little bit of waves under the 1 seed. At the very beginning of the season, before the season even started, when we did our kickoff show, Adam said he likes SSG as a dark horse. They're not a dark horse anymore, so he's looking like Nostradamus there. They're not number 1. I said I like KT because I liked their pitching. Their pitching wasn't quite as good as it was last year, but it's still good enough. I think whether Kiwoom's already in, whether they're number 3 or number 4, I think Kiwoom has a shot, and I'll get to it when I put my graphics up later. But Kiwoom's pitching is incredible. Their bullpen's not so good, but their starting rotation is awesome and probably the best in the entire league. And SSG has a really good starting rotation as well. But I think Kiwoom's starting rotation is really good, and they could actually pull a Doosan like Doosan did last year. Their hitting is quite average. Their bullpen is very average. Everything they do is pretty average. Their fielding is average as well. But with that rotation, you always have a shot. If KT can barf the game today and Kiwoom sneaks in there in third place, I think Kiwoom could really shake it up. I don't think they can win it all, but I think they can at least upset in the second round, perhaps.
Well, guys, we keep talking about this game that's ultimately important, so we're getting to get into that in just a second. But first, I want to let you know, head on over to these guys' page, or you can go to wt.buzz/deals. We are running a terrific special that you want to jump on right now. You can get the Korean baseball playoffs here for just $69. It's usually priced at $99, so you get to cut $30 off of that from your favorite handicapper, KBO 69. You cannot beat that value, taking $30 off, and that's going to get you every play that's released through that championship series, and that is going to be expiring right around the way here. So I'll give you the exact date it expires by the end of the show, but head on over there, wt.buzz/AT, wt.buzz/TB. KBO 69 is the code. Get the entire KBO playoffs, just $69. So guys, let's talk this LG KT Wiz game, because we've been teasing how ultimately important it is for the standings. We see KT as -2 bills on the money line, plus 170 the take back for LG. The total in this one, 8. This game means ultimately more to KT than it does with LG. They are locked in as LG as your 2 seed. KT could drop to the 4 depending on what happens today. So Brandon, you came with the thunder. You not have 1, not 2, but 3 charts. I feel like LeBron James talking about championships with the amount of charts you brought for the folks. So LG Twins, KT Wiz, Tokyo Brandon, floor is yours, brother.
So rather than just a preview of this game, if I can just take a minute or two and just show you some graphics about pitching and hitting with all the teams that are in the playoffs. So if you could throw up my graphic 1 real quick. I kind of stole this from mykbo.com, but this is a list of 1 through 10 top starters. And you can see that Kiwoom has 2 of them. And Amu Jing is number 1, and Eric Jokic. SSG has 2 of them, in Kim Kwang-hyun and Wilmer Font. And LG also has Plutko and Kelly. So those 3 teams, I think, have the best chance of coming out with a win and winning it all. You notice that KT only has 1 guy there, and he's number 10 in So-hyung Jun. So-hyung Jun started off the season incredibly, and then he just kind of fell off a cliff at the end. So KT's pitching, their starting pitching, not much to talk about. So the 3 teams with serious hardcore rotations would be Kiwoom, SSG, and LG. So if you could go to graphic 2, this is the bullpens. And the bullpens, thank you. The bullpens. Now, I have Kia and Kiwoom highlighted because I believe this is going to be the first wildcard round. So you can just do an eyeball comparison of these 2 teams. But if you look at the bullpens, what we were talking about before, LG had one of the best rotations, and they have the number 1 bullpen. SSG had probably the best rotation, and they got the number 7 bullpen. Kiwoom probably has the second best rotation, and they got the number 5 bullpen. So if you just look at it like that, you would say, oh, okay, well, LG has a pretty fast track to odds on winning this whole thing, and I would probably agree with that. So those are the bullpen numbers, so go ahead and screenshot that. And then if you go to my graphic number 3, these are the hitting stats. So Kia is the best hitting team as far as average. They have a lot more home runs and RBIs than Kiwoom. LG is up there, though, at number 3, and SSG is right around number 5. Pretty mediocre hitting for SSG. So these are just some stats for you guys to look at when you're going over the playoffs. Let me get into this particular game. I'll do it very quickly because there's, rather than stats about this game, though, is the situation. So as we were preluding to before, KT really wants to win this game so they can take a week off They can rest everyone. So KT is going to be all guns blazing. They're going to have all their starters in the game. They're going to leverage all of their top bullpen guys. And they have a really good starter in Ko Young-pyo going. And Ko Young-pyo has a 116 whip in the KBO. That's pretty incredible because his career whip is 126, which is actually quite incredible because those stats were accumulated before the strike zone was changed. So Ko Young-pyo, I have him ranked 33 out of 95 starting pitchers that I rank. And he's going against Im Chan-kyu, who's not bad, but I have him pretty mediocre, ranked about 55 out of 95 pitchers. Both bullpens are good, but I don't think LG is going to be leveraging their top guys here. I think LG is going to be wanting to get some guys, get one inning, keep their arms fresh and take them out. I don't think they're even going to start their best hitters. They might start them at the beginning of the game, but for them, it's going to be kind of an all-star kind of situation, all-star game. They might play them for two or three at-bats and then rest some guys, put some guys in who don't get put some utility guys in. But KT is going to be balls to the wall to get this game, to get this win so they can secure the third spot. If KT loses this, Kiwoom gets the third spot. If KT wins it, KT gets the third spot. And as we talked about before, the third spot is very important. You get to rest while 4 and 5 fight it out. And you get to start the next series with a 1-game advantage. So it's huge. It's huge. So KT will be fighting. I have the game actually numbers only. I have the game almost dead even, 51% to 48%. So it'd be hard to call, but situation-wise, it'd be hard to bet against KT.
Situationally, needing the wind is KT, and Brandon saying he thinks they just might be able to get it done. How are you looking at this final game of the regular season, Trig? You see it a similar way. KT, all they need to do is win the game, and they're the 3 seed. What do you think they do? They win the game, and they're the 3 seed. How are you breaking it down, Trig?
All right, so I have a strong take on this game. Now, whether that leads you to a bet or not is I'll leave it to you to decide. But the number that you're seeing there is probably about 50 to 60 cents off of what the number would be 4 weeks ago when everyone's playing quote unquote meaningful games. Okay. So let's start with that. KT should, in this matchup, should never be minus $2. So you need to acknowledge that the books are forcing you to pay a premium there. Now, I think it's irresponsible to bet to lay $2 with KT based on the fact that I think it's incorrect to assume that LG won't care about this game. And the reason I feel that way is, first of all, it's at Jamsil Baseball Stadium, which means so LG's home park. Second, if you watched LG play last week, they played backup guys. They did exactly what Brandon said, played their starters a few innings, put other guys in, and they were competitive in every single game. There was a spot 5 days ago where the NC Dinos needed to win to save their season. Win or go home for the NC Dinos, and LG played hard from start to finish and blew them out. I also don't think it's a given that they won't play their starters, because you have to remember, this is LG's last actual gameplay for like 2 weeks. So why? I don't see why they would just maybe give guys, try to get everyone in at bat, like stuff like that. But they're going to give their guys time here. There's no, if a guy has an ailment, he'll sit, and they're not going to stress any reliever, right? No one's going to throw more than 10 or 15 pitches out of the bullpen. No reason to put anyone in a bad spot. But they're not just going to not go with their top guys. And actually, KT, their closer threw like 20 pitches yesterday in that game against NC. So that's a little bit of a concern as well. So here, there's absolutely no question that Young-pyo Ko is the better starter, but he's looked very fatigued of late. 8 earned runs on 15 hits in 12 innings pitched over his last 2 starts. I've never really been a big Chan-kyu Im guy who will go for LG, but I will say that it's an important start for him individually because he hasn't had the best season. He's been hit or miss, but it'll probably determine how sort of LG uses him in the postseason. So I have to imagine he's going to want to pitch well here. The only bet here, in my opinion, is to take LG plus 1.5. because you're getting such substantial value on LG getting a run and a half. LG is arguably, they're probably the better team here. If we were just talking all things equal, LG is I have them rated ahead of KT. So essentially, you're going to pay $2 because KT, quote unquote, needs to win. I don't like playing team psychologist, Dan. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know. Like, you could kind of see SSG was mailing it in, but if you look at last week, LG has not played a quote unquote meaningful game in over a week because they've had the 2 spot locked up for over a week. They've played hard every night with the exception of that one game against Kia where Kia just blew them out. So it's not going to be a client play, but I strongly advise against just laying $2 from KT here. I would only be LG plus 1.5. And if you can't get to the window with LG plus 1.5, it would be a pass. I just don't think you should be laying $2 with KT because they need to win. Because I think LG will come to play this game. I think they're going to come and compete like they did every single game last week.
Brandon, we got a little differing of opinion, a little head-to-head from the guys here. So, Brandon, I'll offer. I feel like I'm watching Wager Talk today, and Teddy's going with a follow-up question, trying to say, well, let me play devil's advocate here. Just any thoughts on how Trig's kind of viewing this game? As sure, it might be a must-win, but you even kind of mentioned with how your numbers line up, as you would usually be handicapping a game, it's darn near even for you. It's just this spot for KT. Would that be enough to push you over to make a bet, or is it just kind of a lean and pass situation, kind of like how Trig's looking?
Look, I agree with everything Adam just said. Totally respect his opinion on it. You're right. 4 weeks ago, if this was a regular season game that both teams were trying to win, there's no way KT would be laying $2. No way.
Minus 130. Minus 130.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I mean LG would be favored minus 130 probably, or maybe KT minus 110 because of Koyeon-pyo. I'm not sure, but look, starting pitchers, Koyeon-pyo in his career he walks 1.58 guys per 9. Im Chan-kyu walks 4.11 per 9. I mean, the starting pitching is glaringly bad. If KT jumps out to a 2-0 lead, do you think LG is going to throw in their best bullpen guys to save the game? I just don't see it. It's true. LG is a better team. And LG is a better team. I actually have LG slightly favored if you just look at the numbers straight up. We got 2 great bullpens, but LG's hitting is a little better, and their bullpen's a little better. But the thing is, are they going to be leveraging their top guys? I agree with Adam that in the last week, they've been playing quote-unquote meaningless games, and they've been playing really tough. But KT is not the caliber of NC. KT is not the caliber of Kia. KT is a much better team. They're the defending champions. And I don't think you can just slack off putting scrubs in and beat KT the way you did beat NC last week. I don't see it. If I were to bet this game, I would lay 1.5 and take KT. So I'm basically the exact opposite of Adam. We'll see who wins. We'll see who wins. But I mean, I respect Adam's opinion. Everything he said is right, but I still see it in KT's favor. I just think when you have to have something, maybe the players don't play any harder than they would, but the coach is going to make serious decisions, whereas LG's coach is going to be making decisions thinking about 2 weeks from now. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and Brandon, it's a great point, and it's also like illustrates why it's that's kind of what I said by what I meant by say, you know what, I'm not making this like a best bet or client play because I'm not going to play psychologist here. It's like there's no question, like KT wants this game, so they're going to have an all hands on deck situation where they're going to try to win this game because it's a huge difference for them having to go and play the 4 or 5 game as opposed to getting the time off. But that's where it's like, if like LG, the caliber of team that they are, if they decide, hey, we're at home, and they show up to play, which they've been doing it regularly. Well, all of a sudden, like I wouldn't want to be laying a 1.5 with KT in a scenario where like LG cares about the game. that's what makes it such a difficult game and such a fascinating game, because you're kind of relying on is LG already in vacation mode, or are they like going to come show up and play? That's what makes it so difficult. Yeah. So you really could look at it from either way. It makes it a really tough game. Yes. I just I don't really have any thought. The total here is difficult. I would almost lean toward the under because of what Brandon said. I think KT is I think they might go to Despaigne if they have to in relief.
Exactly.
They'll do what they have to do to win this game.
So Kyung-jun.
So you could see an under, but it's a tough game. It really is a difficult game. I don't have a great. Yeah. It's going to be a good one to watch, but it's really tough to know how LG is going to play this game out, and I think it makes it hard to bet aside.
Well, it does. And one other point that Adam made that I totally agree with is KT did put their closer in, and he did throw 20 pitches yesterday. But the thing is, if they win this game today, he gets a week and a half of rest. Yep. So I think they'll put him back in to throw 20 more today. I don't think it's an issue. Whereas LG, do you think they're going to leverage their best closer, their best bullpen guys? They're not going to throw more than 10 pitches. They'll take them right out. They'll put a 19-year-old college kid in. They don't care. As far as the home field is concerned, true, but LG is actually not the greatest home team. And I've been showing stats all year showing that actually SSG and Hama are the only two teams that perform better at home than on the road. So I don't think that is really a factor I would consider. I think the main consideration here is how the coaches are going to utilize their players, and I think that gives KT an advantage. But you are right, Adam. Laying $2 against LG is absolutely absurd, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, but I would lay a 1.5.
And if you do go to run and a half,
Trig, you can let them know your final thoughts here.
If you go the run and a half route, at least know that you're doing it with the road team. So it's the right sort of scenario. If you're gonna lay a run and a half, at least you're getting all 9 at bats. So that there is that. So it's you're gonna get the full 9 at bats. The only time I would ever sort of advise laying a run and a half is with a road team for that reason. So this is I know people probably want a firm direction. We're really just trying to give you all the information here to make an educated sort of look at this game, because it is an interesting game and it's the only one on the board for tomorrow. So.
Yeah.
Well, I can break the tie. How many last points are you going to make, Brandon? All right, you get 1 minute. Here you go.
No, I don't even need a minute. I just want to say, at the beginning of the season, I liked KT to take it all, but at this point, looking at this, I like LG to take it all. I just don't like them to win tonight.
Bang, he didn't even need the minute there. I'm going to give you a fully just non-informed opinion. I'm going to go exactly 8 runs in this game, and the reason being because it's plus 850. So why the hell not? That's the way that I'm going. So if you want completely zero good actionable info, to split the tie, both of these guys making a great case, you could just be an idiot like me and take whatever the biggest plus money you can find is. Exactly 8 runs, plus 850. Yeah, book it. I'll play Switzerland here. So, Brandon, I'll start with you, man. Remind people what you have up. You have some great packages going for $9 Monday, and I'll reiterate, you can get both of these guys' packages for the entire KBO playoffs for just $69. Go to their page, purchase the package, use KBO69. Brandon, let people know what they'll find when you head on over to your page.
Yes, the aforementioned KBO package for $69. You can get Adam and my entire playoffs. That's quite good value because the playoffs start in a couple days and they're going to last almost a month. So That's really good value. I also have for $9 Monday a 5% play out. And I also have my entire weekend of college football for $9 in a package together. So that's what I'm offering at my page at WagerTalk.com. And this game tonight should be a great one. Can't wait for it.
Trig, what do you got over there rocking at WT.buzz/AT, $9 Monday? And again, that deal you really can't beat. KBO 69, KBO playoffs for $69. You save $30 on that. What do people find when they head on over to your page the second they're done this show?
Yeah, so KBO package is up. I have my Major League Baseball package. We gave out a code on the first pitch show this afternoon. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but go watch First Pitch because there's a good deal for all access to any WagerTalk capper for the MLB playoffs. I think it's $99. You get the whole Major League Baseball playoffs. I hit my only play of Wild Card Weekend, 4% play with the Phillies, and you'd get me for the rest of the playoffs, and I'll definitely be attacking, probably something tomorrow, and as we look at this week as well. And I've got, plenty of football. I'm having a great football season, both college and NFL. Big run on the 5% plays right now. So any all-access package gets you those as well. And it's all up on my page. As far as a closing thought, Dan, since I don't have a great, really a great sort of best bet type thing for tomorrow's only game, I would say if Brandon's right and the matchup ends up being Kiwoom versus Kia, I'll look at Kia might be live there because they have really good left-handed pitching. And Kiwoom has struggled. If there's one spot they've struggled, it's been with left-handed pitching all season. And you have to remember that Kiwoom has played the fewest games of anyone during the last couple weeks. And the games that they have played, not that impressive. Like, the bats have definitely cooled off. They've got a loss to Hanwha in there somewhere. And Kiwoom this year, like Brandon and I have both talked about this ad nauseum on the show. We felt like they were a very average team that gets by on really good pitching and timely hitting. And Kia has the bats to hit really good pitching. And they also, it's possible that Kiwoom just kind of goes cold, especially if they're facing like good lefties, which Kia has. So I think if it ends up being Kia versus Kiwoom, Kia might have a nice chance there.
So a little look ahead preview there from our man Adam Trigger. So appreciate y'all tuning in here each and every week. Stay tuned to social media because we'll let you know how the next few weeks are going to be looking with the playoffs rocking. But the best way to get up to the second information, give these guys a huge thanks for what they did all season long for you. Ride with them for the playoffs using that code KBO69. So appreciate you guys. It's been fun riding with you all year long. We may see you one or two more times the rest of the year. But for Tokyo Brandon, for Adam Trigger, for Robert, as always, doing a great job behind the scenes, I'm Dan Alexander, and thanks for tuning in here on Asian Baseball Today.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.